Today we are talking about equivalent fractions. Woohoo! Yay! Equivalent fractions. Everybody loves them. Okay, so equivalent fraction just means two fractions that are equal to each other. Two fractions that are equal to each other. So in the picture that I have here, I have 1/2 over here, and the picture beside it shows two total pieces, one of them shaded, which means 1/2. Now, on this page, I have 2/4, and I show that 2/4 shows a picture with 4 total pieces and 2 of them shaded. 2/4. You with me? Okay. On this page, we show that 1/2 over here is equal to 2/4 because the same amount is shaded on both sides. The same amount is shaded. They just cut it into different pieces, right? Different size pieces. Kind of like if you were going to share, a candy bar with a friend, and you say you'll give him half of it, or you can give him 6 pieces of it. Well, it's the same thing, or it can be the same thing, because if you cut that candy bar into just 2 pieces and give him 1, that would be 1/2. If you cut the candy bar into 12 pieces and give him 6, that's still 1/2. So either way, it's an equivalent fraction. Some of you, though, I don't think would even share your candy bar, truth be told. Ha, just a joke. Okay, moving on. Equivalent fractions are fractions that are equal to each other. They have the same amount shaded. The whole is just cut into different pieces. And I put the picture again on this page just so you could see it side by side. 1/2 is equal to 2/4. The same area is shaded in both pictures. Okay, so now let's go over how do we find equivalent fractions. All right, if we have 1/2 and we are trying to find an equivalent fraction for 1/2, we can multiply. That's one way we can do it. We can multiply, but we have to multiply the top and the bottom by what? Does anybody know? By the same number. It has to be the same number or it won't work. So, 1/2 times, now I'm going to attribute the big multiplication sign for times to James Jones. Sorry, we had a brief classroom interruption. Now, I attribute this to James Jones because last year, when James was in the 6th grade, I used to write it like this. I would put 1/2 and then I would put times 2 and times 2. And James, who thought that was a tremendous amount of work, said, "Mrs. Ezell, why are you writing it like that? Why can't you just write a really big 2? And I'll know to do the top and the bottom." And I said, "Well, James, that sounds like a fabulous idea. Let's just do it that way." So now that's the way I do it. Thank you, James. So 1/2 times 2, which means I'm going to multiply the top times 2, and I'm going to multiply the bottom times 2. So 1 times 2 is 2, and 2 times 2 is 4. So you can see that 1/2 is equal to 2/4. Another way you can check yourself before you wreck yourself to make sure you're doing it right is you can cross multiply, crisscross applesauce. To make sure that these two fractions are equivalent, and I shouldn't have put to make sure that these two are equivalent, I can cross multiply. I can do the butterfly method and I can cross multiply just like that. And if I get the same number on both sides, 4 times 1 is 4, and 2 times 2 is 4. If I get the same number on both sides, that shows that I have equivalent fractions. That's right. Okay. Now, it doesn't have to be multiplied by 2. I can multiply by anything as long as I multiply the top and the bottom by the same number. I could multiply by 10. 3 times 10 is 30. 6 times 10 is 60. Now to double check to make sure that I have equivalent fractions, I could cross multiply, and I would get the same number on both sides when I cross multiplied, so I know that those are equivalent. Another way that you can find equivalent fractions is by dividing. If I can do it by multiplying, I can also do it by dividing. So let's say I have 2/8, and I want to find a smaller equivalent fraction. Well, instead of multiplying, I could divide. But, the trick is I got to divide by a number that both of them can be divided by. So a number that both of these two numbers could be divided by would be 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So that means that 2/8 and 1/4 are equivalent. And just to double check, I'm going to cross multiply, and I'm going to get the same number on both sides, so those are equivalent. I think you've done a fabulous job. I think you get it. I think you understand. If not, watch the video again or ask me a question in class. You know I'm here to serve. I hope you have a fabulous day, and always remember that math is your friend.